everybody, and welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So today we are in a very odd location. We are literally between my closet and my attic right now. My library room right now is under construction. We are putting a desk in there, and the desk is taking forever to build. So there was no way I could film in there today, so I decided to film from here. This is another new chair that we got. It will eventually go where the rocking chair is, and the rocking chair is going to go into Sydney's nursery. So we are just like in complete shambles. So I just like found a corner and was like, that's it, I'm filming there. So that's why we're in a weird spot right now. So here we are today, the last day of February, to talk about The Scent Keeper by Erica Braumeister. This is the Reese Witherspoon pick for February. I waited until the 11th hour to finish this. Literally, I finished it yesterday, February 28th, because, I was nervous about this book. This book is a magical realism book. I don't read magical realism. I don't remember the last time I read a magical realism book. I feel like maybe the last one was potentially my grandmother told me to tell you she's sorry, or asked me to tell you she's sorry, whatever that book is. I think that was the last magical realism book I read, and I did not like it. So I was going into this with complete hesitation. I kept putting it off for other books, and I think it's because I was so scared I was going to hate this book that I really put it off. And that was kind of silly. So let's talk about what this book's about, and then I'll talk about what I thought, and then we'll get into some spoilery discussion at the end. So this is a book following Emmeline, and when we first meet her, she's a young child living on an island with her father. They are the only people that are living on this island, and he is very into smells and scents, and he basically teaches Emmeline to understand her world through these smells and through these scents. He also has a wall full of drawers that contain these little bottles that have little wax stoppers. They have different colors. There's a red one, there's green ones, and then there's one that's blue. And inside these bottles, there are scent papers, because he kind of has this machine that we come to find that like kind of can capture scents. And he basically teaches Emmeline this world through scents and fairy tales. And we meet this character, Nick the Scent Keeper. So like all of his stories have to do with scent. Nick the Scent Keeper, or Nick this. I think I said Scent Keeper. Nick the Scent Finder. He has to like go find all these scents and like that. So each scent kind of has a story. And this is her world. This is the only thing she knows. Her dad, her island, that's it. And one day something kind of happens that completely flips her life upside down. And now it's up to her to really figure out what the world really is for her and the world in general. And we get to follow Emmeline through the years. I think when we finally stop following her, like by the end of the book, I think she's like 19, 20, or like in her 20s. And we start the book, like I said, when she's like really, really young. So we definitely get to see her grow and change throughout the book. Like I said, I was nervous about it being magical realism because I have a really hard time determining what is actual reality and what is the magical element. So there's this one scene that I definitely was like scratching my head with, where I was like, is this really happening, or is this the magical part? Like, I don't know. So like it took me a little while to figure out what was happening in this book, what was the magical element, I guess you could say. And I have to say that I feel like in this book, it turns out that the magical element is a very tame magical element. Like, I didn't feel like I was hit over the face with it. Like I said in the beginning, I was kind of like, I think it was because I was like treading on eggshells. Like, is this going to be? What is this going to be? I don't know. So I was very unsure. But once I got into it, it definitely wasn't complicated at all. I think most of the like magical elements have to do with the smells and the scents and how they attain them. That's my prediction of like why it's magical. But overall, I ended up giving this book 4 stars. In the beginning, when you talked to me, somebody reached out to me. Rebecca reached out to me. And she goes, what are you thinking? And I was like, I'm 40 pages in. I can't tell if I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's just okay. But then once I got past that point, and once we really got to her kind of as a teenager, I started to finally really like, okay, I got this, and I got my bearings, and it turned out to be a really easy, simple read in terms of, like, I didn't ever feel like, if you can hear noises, Sydney is playing in her tent. So that's also what's going on in our room right now. I did not feel, I don't know how to say it, intimidated by the book. Like, that was one of my biggest concerns, was that being magical realism, I would be really intimidated by it, and I didn't feel like intimidated writing at all. Like, I felt like it was easy to read, easy to understand, and I wanted to go on this journey with Emmeline to figure out what was really going on and what was really happening. I feel like it was a very accurate portrayal of what a girl like Emmeline would have went through if this really did happen. Just getting to see her trials and tribulations that she had to overcome to really figure out her world and herself. It's hard to say things like that without spoiling it, because there's a big thing that obviously happens that, like I said, her life turns upside down, but I don't want to say what that is because then it would spoil it. But it was nice to see her going through these trials and tribulations. There were times where she felt super naive, but then you remember she's been growing up on this island. Of course she's going to be naive and not understand things and not know things. So she does come off younger than she's supposed to be sometimes. But overall, like, I found this to be a very good read. I was saying also when I was talking about it that I feel like the ending, the way this wraps up, is really going to determine if I like it or not. And the epilogue tied it up so nicely and beautifully, where it just left you with this great message by the end, that I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I ended up really enjoying it, and it completely took me by surprise because, like I said, I was actively avoiding this book, thinking I was not going to like it, and to think that I ended up liking it. Like, I wish I read it earlier in the month so I could have gotten this video out sooner, but it is what it is. I ended up really enjoying it, and I highly recommend you give it a shot if it sounds like something that you may be interested in. It was a really great coming of age, coming of understanding, coming to understand life and what it means to be human. Good. I highly recommend you check this out. Spoilery time. Ready? If you haven't read this book, please disappear and come back when you've read it, because I want to talk about this with you. So, on to the spoilers. The scene that I was talking about earlier, where I couldn't tell if it was real or not, was when the bear walked in from the ocean and completely, like, terrorized their house, and then the bear walked back into the ocean. Was it really a bear? I think it wasn't a bear. I think it was symbolism for a storm. But why couldn't the author just say that there was a storm happening? I don't know. Also, Fisher's storyline was really impactful, and I thought it was really interesting to see Emmeline observe something like that go on, especially after she's been so isolated. I did not like that there was a romance between the two of them. I didn't feel like it was necessarily necessary. I just felt like I liked them having a friendship. I didn't feel like they had to get romantically involved at all, and I felt like they only got romantically involved because they only had each other and everybody else was mean to them, so it didn't feel like it needed to be there. Also, her mom. I was so mad that her mom turned out to basically be evil. I mean, I understand, not evil, but Sydney, you're fine. You silly girl. She's on her belly. So she's grunting because she's doing work. So I was really disappointed that her mom ended up being kind of a not nice character. I wanted her to be, I don't know what I wanted her to be. I feel like I wanted her to be like Henry and Colette, and I wanted her to open her arms and just like take her in. But like, she also seems like a woman scorned by her life. Like, her character made so much sense, but at the same time, I was so frustrated because I did not want her to be like that. But I really liked the whole coming full circle with her dad, and like loving her dad so much to hating her dad for lying to like coming back to, and like hearing kind of bad things about him, and then being able to go full circle and realize that like he was actually good the whole time. I really liked that part. I don't know, I feel like there's so much to talk about. I did really like this idea of this Polaroid camera, though, that could document scents. Like, I would love that. That would be so much fun. I thought that was a really fun element, and I think that was, like I said, the magical realism element was this camera that exists in this world but doesn't exist in our world. I don't know. Those are just some thoughts that I've been throwing around in my head since finishing this book. Clearly, she wants to play, so I have to go play with her now. But I hope you guys enjoyed this book. If you have any comments back to what I've talked about or anything that you feel like would spoil the book, please title your comment with the word spoiler so that way we don't spoil anybody else. But yeah, I'm excited to see what March has in store for us, and looking forward to reading it with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys really soon. Bye, everybody.